Zöe Franklin is the Liberal Democrat MP for Guildford and joins me in the studio. Morning to you. Nice long day for anyone in Parliament, eh?
Indeed. Morning, James.
What are you hoping for, budget-wise? Maybe, well, for the NHS. What do you think?
So, specifically, we are looking for an investment in the NHS, which is going to enable the NHS to have particularly more GPs. We all know the 8 a.m. scramble on the phones to get an appointment. So we want the government to start to address that with funding. Also, we all know that every year the NHS struggles in the winter. You know, you get those even longer A&E waits, you get the problem of people being unable to leave hospital, and that then has knock-on impacts. And as Liberal Democrats, we're calling for the government to winter-proof the NHS. Now, that's going to require a significant investment, but it's absolutely crucial.
It's interesting, all of this, because everything costs money and there isn't a lot of money around, and the whole thing about tax rises, so much of this has been telegraphed before the Chancellor even stands in Parliament later on. We're going to be paying more money, aren't we, surely?
Yeah, but it's a question of where does that extra money come from? And one of the things that we are particularly looking for is that it doesn't come off the backs of people who can't afford it, and also small businesses. We will all know people who are struggling with their household bills because of the cost of living going up and up and up, and the government needs to make choices about where it gets the money from. And we've always said that it's crucial it doesn't come off the back of those people who are struggling, but actually comes from we close the tax loopholes. We reinstate the taxes against big banks. We look at actually how do we tax social media companies given the impact they have on things like the mental health of young people. You can find the money in different places than potentially the government is going to be looking.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it, today, because we don't really know whether there's some... It could be the most boring budget of all time because so much of it's actually been told us beforehand. Everyone's sort of worried about the cost of living. What are your feelings about special educational needs? Because it's something that we know that all the Lib Dems have spoken to and spoken about in Parliament. What would you like to see happening for children with special educational needs? Do you think they're actually going to do something?
So last week we had the National Audit Office's report on special educational needs across the country, and it was, the best word is excruciating reading, and it laid bare the absolute crisis in special educational needs. And in the conversation in the chamber, as politicians from across the House questioned the relevant minister, she kept saying, we are going to reform special educational needs. Now, what we're now looking for from the budget is, OK, you've said that you're going to, but are you actually going to commit to doing that alongside the money that's needed? Because, of course, that's part of the local government settlement. Many people will be realised, we just look at the situation in Woking and many other councils where councils are really struggling and have effectively gone bust financially. That's because finances to local government from national government have gone down over the years. We need to see more money to particularly support special educational needs and social care, which are costing huge amounts and are leaving councils struggling with deficits as a result.
Yeah, sort that out, and a lot of other dominoes sort of get sorted as well. How's it work practically today for you as a new MP? Is it getting there early? How do you get a nice sort of seat? Can you give me the practicalities of it?
After this, I'm dashing to get a train for London, basically to try and get there as early as possible to push in something called a prayer card. You then turn up for prayers at 11:30 in order to claim your seat, and you have that seat for the rest of the day. If you don't manage to get a seat, you will be having to kind of hope on a wing and a prayer, try and get into the chamber, because the chamber can only seat 450 people on seats. You can squash in on the kind of the steps and stand, but even then it still can't take 650 MPs. So there's going to be a lot of people very keen to get a seat, because also if you want to speak in the budget later over the next 5 days, you have to have been there for the Chancellor's opening remarks.
Right, OK. God, blimey, the process is like, you have to learn it. Zöe, whilst you're here, you're the Guildford MP, and I know that one of our local stories that we've talked about before, you supported a thing called the Guildford Active Travel Scheme, which was a plan for a new cycling and shared pedestrian scheme along London Road in Burford. Well, last night it was rejected. Can I just get your reaction to it being scrapped as an idea?
Yeah, I'm really disappointed. I wrote to Tim Oliver and the council to express my the fact I was impressed by them, the way they'd handled the situation, where they'd gone back and reviewed the scheme, looked to ensure that actually it was going to work, that it was safe. Independent report has shown it's going to be safe. The number of people who have supported the scheme went up over a second consultation, and it could have really improved things. No scheme is perfect, but it could have really improved things for cyclists and pedestrians in that area, and it wouldn't have been paid for through local funds. It was actually government funding that will now have to be given back.
Good to see you. Good luck with the train. I think they're all right so far, reported this morning. By the way, as a new MP, are people stopping you on the train and having a chat? Do you get recognised that much?
Regularly wandering through town on a Saturday or on the train. It's like, oh, Zöe, hello, nice to see you. Yeah. How's it going?
And how many times do you actually sort of people get really quite... we need to be looking at this. It's like, do you get a turn-off moment, I suppose?
So as yet, I haven't had sort of what I describe as a challenge or a negative interaction. It's all been very, very positive. But it's still early days, and I know that people will have particular things they want to talk to me about, and they might kind of nobble me on the street. And as long as I'm not heading someone with my family, I'm more than happy with that.
Well, good to see you, and I hope you get in there. You got to go. Have you got to sit through half an hour of prayers then?
Yep, half an hour prayers, then some general stuff, some questions. Prime Minister's questions, in fact, and then budget. And then the budget. OK. Well, good to see you, and hope you go and get a train. Appreciate your time this morning. That's Zöe Franklin, Liberal Democrat MP for Guildford.